Welcome to Defending Our Children. On today's episode, we're excited to welcome Blake Ambrester, a visionary entrepreneur and faith-driven leader who is transforming the home services industry as the founder of CEO of Solar Bear, Roof Bear, and Positive Energy Consultant. Blake has built a family of companies committed to help Floridians power, protect, and preserve their homes. Since 2018, his companies have completed over 10,000 solar and roofing installations across the state, empowering homeowners to lower their energy costs, strengthen their homes, and embrace sustainable living. In 2022, his companies secured an impressive number 14 spot on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies in America. Today, we'll dive into Blake's plan to establish a positive business culture by offering support to a nonprofit organization, which happens to be Veterans for Child Rescue. Blake, appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah,
What
thanks
say
so much for
you?
having me.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
I was really excited about meeting you, Josh Templin, who works for you, and he is also works for United to One. And United to One is an organization that is helping Craig and I grow Veterans for Child Rescue. And so we were really stoked whenever Josh said, "Hey, you got to meet Blake," and he wasn't kidding. Have a lot of positive energy. You have established a culture in your company, which I've learned about through Josh. That's very exciting. And I think it's important for people to understand this is a topic that you can help grow your company by having a relationship with a nonprofit organization or some sort of a cause gives your employees something else to talk about as opposed to, hey, so and so got a bigger hat than I did or something silly. So anyway, why don't we dive in? Why don't you share with us, how you got into business and how you got into helping nonprofits out?
Yeah, so I started Solar Bear back in 2015. I had just had my first kid. My wife and I gave birth to our first son, Noah. And I had a friend who was working for a local solar company, and he would tell me how much he loved it. And so I was working a retail sales job and started doing research, and a light bulb just went off. It was like, this is where I want to be. Not only can I, act in a heart of service, but I can also provide a great living for my family and provide opportunity for the employees that were going to be working with us. And so we launched the company in 15, and we've grown rapidly. We've done over 400 million in revenue since 2018. We've got 200 plus W-2 employees. And when I started the company, I always wanted to create a culture where you really enjoy coming to work. We spend more time at work than we get to do with our children and our families. And so it should be an enjoyable place. And, a part of making it enjoyable, there has to be purpose. And without purpose, you really can't find that true feeling of joy. And so we partnered with a few organizations out the gate, some of which we're still partnered with today. We partner with Habitat for Humanity. We do a free roof and a free solar system for every 100 homes that they build. We also go out to their CEO builds and help them erect the homes, paint the houses, do landscaping, whatever it needs. And we do it as a company. We give back as a company. And that in itself leaves people with a feeling that they're making a difference. And so when they go home, they're not thinking to themselves like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing over and over at work every day. I'm just looked at as a number. All they care about is if I've done my job or not. They don't care about me as a person. They don't care about my, needs, wants, and desires outside of work. And so, um, I started this company at 25. I'm 36 today, and we've probably made every mistake under the sun. And through that, have developed a very efficient and strong and well-run company because every time an issue came up, we would develop a new standard operating procedure to make sure it never happened again. And so we provide a great experience to our customers, and we're continuing to grow rapidly today. Another organization that we teamed up with was Operation Underground Railroad. I had already had my third child by that point, so I have three children. My oldest is 11. He turned 11 on Saturday, and then my middle son is 7, and then my daughter is 4. And so we partnered up with Operation Underground Railroad. My business partner was very big on alternative media, and so he put me onto some things, and I went down the rabbit holes, and my mind was just absolutely blown at what I saw and what I read. And I feel throughout my life, I've always been a protector. I'm a protector of my family, a protector of my friends. You know, when we were in college, going out to the bars, I was always the guy that was, they called me the cleanup crew. And so, you know, naturally having children, you want to protect your own kids, but it goes even further than that, right? It's not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It's a humanitarian issue. And so um, our culture here today is that of a heart of service. We're here to serve our customers at the highest level. We believe that service to many leads to greatness. And the cause with Veterans for Child Rescue, man, you know, my business partner is a Marine. When I told him we were connecting with you guys, he was jumping up and down. He's the son of a pastor. And I know that not only is the company super excited about it, but our 10,000 customers that we already have, our future customers, and the marketing efforts that we're going to put forward to really spread the news of what you guys are doing. And not just so that we can get involved. We don't care about the glory of it. We want to give glory to God and continue to serve in the best way that we can. And I really appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, man. Well, we're glad to have you on, and I champion anybody who focuses their priorities on what matters most. And it, you know, as I age, I realize others, man, the giving, and it's such a basic thing. Hold the door for somebody or do a kind gesture. Just be kind, be helpful, and compassionate, care about others. And our culture is so wired and so programmed to be about self, self, self. So I love it when I see a company owner and manager and leader lead their people to considering others and having a cause that's above and beyond their own um, needs. And it just seems like it's so healing in all directions. You know, it's like my mom always told me you can't outgive God. And because I think we were wired to be that way, to thrive when we can care about others and give to them. And it seems like company owners that are focusing on that, they're thriving financially. So they have everything that they wanted anyway. And it's because it's almost like you have to release your grip on the things that you want before you can be blessed with it. When you embrace that, which really should be your priority, then God blesses oh, now you can have the money, son. Now you can have the whatever. And I've had that in my life. So I smile when I see you express what you're about and the culture that you set there, because it's beautiful and it leads to good things.
Yeah, definitely. People are wanting to find a way to have that satisfaction, that ability to give back. And it doesn't have to be, you know, financially sometimes. Sometimes it's just your time, right? Lending a helping hand, you know, lending an ear to somebody who's distraught. And I can tell you that when we first brought this up within the organization, and I had already known this about a couple of our employees, but I found out that a few of our other employees had been you know, trafficked and molested when they were young. And so when they found out we were doing it, you know, they've got tears running down their eyes because obviously it probably brings back some hardcore memories, but it also gives the realization that they're with the right company.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of healing in taking action, you know, and there's a lot of wrong being done in this world in a lot of ways by a lot of abusers. And man, it's easy to get bitter and hold on to that grudge and want them to be the perpetrator to be punished. You know, it's natural for us. But man, when we can forgive and let go of that and then do something, take some sort of positive action, it's to make it better for other people and for yourself. It's just so healing. It's just such a key, man. That action is it's everything, man. Just like it's a turning point where your stress level drops. Like, okay, I'm doing something about it. It's going to be okay, you know. So
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I totally agree. And I noticed that if you are focusing on something, you know, other than work, I mean, work is important, but if you focus on some of these other things, it really helps the culture within your corporation to be, or your company to be much better. Listen, folks, we got to stop for a commercial break. We'll be back on Defending Our Children.
Every day in America, children are trafficked for sex. In schools, shopping malls, truck stops, clubs, and bars. Think it can't happen in your neighborhood? think again. If you suspect a child is being trafficked for sex, call the National Human Trafficking Resource Center 24-hour hotline at 1-888-373-888.
Welcome back, everyone, to Defending Our Children. I want to promote our coffee brand. We have our own Rescue Roast brand coffee that all it does, all of its funding goes to helping run our operations to arrest child predators, to stop them from harming children and convict them. And I pray over this Rescue Roast whenever a new batch of it comes in from the roaster, fantastic roaster here in Arizona. I pray over it because I think it's a good thing to do spiritually and health-wise, even if you look at it from the quantum physics perspective of speaking well wishes over your food. It's a good thing. So there's no downside to it. It's fantastic coffee. We appreciate you grabbing some and helping support our mission on v4cr.org.
Well, hey, without getting into any names, Blake, I don't know if you can do this or not, but you had mentioned earlier that you had some employees that maybe have shared their stories, and we don't have to get into their stories, but is there anything that you can share with us on the impact in their attitude or their mindset or their contribution, their work efforts after they learn that this is what organization that you're going to support, or you were going to support an anti-trafficking organization?
Yeah, and so this is, you guys will be the second organization that we've worked with that is aiming at protecting children and young adults from sex trafficking. And so, I can say that we don't have a revolving door of employees. When people come here, they stay, and they don't just stay grudgingly. They're here to serve. They're here to help, and it empowers them when they're, maybe want to stay home for the day, right? They know they've got to go to work. They know they've got to go run appointments. They know they've got to go do an install. I think it gives them a little bit more fire to know that the leadership of their company is running alongside them, not sitting on some beach drinking a coconut. I always tell our employees, I'm like, look, I don't expect you to work here for the rest of your life. All I ask is that you give 110% while you're here, and that Solar Bear can become a great stepping stone so that you can get to wherever it is that you're going. We want to help evolve you and, through personal development, through, business aptitude trainings. And we want you to go on and do greater things in your life. Our motto here is do what you love with who you love, be appropriately compensated with time to pursue other passions. And so, I would say we're 10 years into this now, and I'd say the first, 2 or 3 years was kind of trial and error. But over the last 7 years, we've just built a culture of service and of people who aren't about themselves. We have a big Bible verse in the office. It says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." That's Galatians 6:9. I've got it on the dashboard in my car. I've got it on the faucet on my sink in my kitchen, got some other stuff on my fridge. So everywhere I'm turning to the Lord. And we are a faith-based company. We do a weekly prayer call. And sometimes it's, deep, dark discussions about what we're talking about today. And sometimes it's just, my mom's sick, or, I'm having money struggles, or I'm struggling with pornography, or whatever it might be. And so I think that it fires them up knowing that they have a company that not only is taking its profits and putting them back into the community, but also taking a stance and standing for something that is near and dear to their heart.
It's interesting that we have to have this discussion. I had a discussion today with a lady that went through the system. She was a foster child, and then she ultimately got her degree and went to work for the system. And listening to what you're having to say in that conversation today, it's sad that we have to have this to deal with as a society. And Craig and I, we both constantly talk about this is as a mission for humanity, that this is the greatest mission, that our children are our greatest assets. They're the most purest when we're born, right? Everybody was a child. And it's very difficult to understand how somebody can look at a toddler and see them other than just a bundle of joy. And so it's good that you We too. We actually have a weekly prayer meeting, and same thing. Sometimes it's dark, and sometimes it's just things that you need to keep praying for. Our country, our health, our families, that sort of thing. I don't know about you guys, but we're constantly under attack for what we do. I don't know if that impacts you or not, if it's impacted you for your support of these organizations, but we see it on a daily basis where we're being attacked kind of at a spiritual level. And so by having these prayer meetings and communing with each other helps us deal with those things. It makes it a lot easier to get up and put your oar in the water and paddle. Do you find something similar with your experience?
Definitely. I have had people quit, right? We let them know when they're hired that this is a faith-based organization. We're going to be talking about God. We're going to be talking about Bible stories and how they mirror to today's reality. The Bible is a guide, and a map for life, for marriage, for business, for fatherhood or motherhood. Like it literally shows you how that you should be living. It shows you how you should be making decisions. And so we've definitely been under attack. I would say it's probably from a level of spiritual warfare. You know, there are some dark forces out there. And so every day when I'm praying, I'm asking for God's hedge of protection over the company, over its employees, over its customers, that any dark forces that have tried to attach themselves to us are removed swiftly and immediately. And so, yeah, I mean, I've had people stand up and walk out of a meeting and quit because, they weren't necessarily a believer, and they didn't want to stand for the things that we were standing for. And, all you do is you send them infinite love and gratitude. Just bless them, right? Revenge is for God. We're here to love. And at the end of the day, if someone's mad at you and you just say, look, I'm sorry, I love you, I wish you the best, it's really hard for them to hold on to a grudge.
Yeah, it's important for us to let that go too, because I mean, they're learning now that it's aggravates your health. Spiritually, I think it's more intuitive. Like we get why it's bad for you to harbor those feelings and unforgiveness, but they're learning more and more, which is no surprise that the body takes a beating from it too. It leads to cancer and all kind of other illness, and it's just
So much disease.
destroys your immune system.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you won't get any trolls like you'll get if you start exposing child trafficking, because boy, the demons come out of the woodwork, and we've had all kinds of just vile smear campaigns, and not one of those attackers now is doing well at all. I mean, they're basically unemployed, homeless, on the lam, running, hiding. It's just, and God takes care of those who act and work in love. And, those that attack you just find that they fall on their own bitter swords after a while. It's interesting to see that over the years, but just how angry people get. If you're doing something good, it is strange to see the hatred out there. So many people so broken. And another thing we're learning too, before we go to this break, we're learning, as you've found out, so many people are survivors of trafficking, not trafficking, trauma in their childhood, and that breaks my heart. I meet people from all walks, every type of man and woman who suffered as a child, and I'm like, man, we've got to address this as a culture. Don't do this to kids. Like they're not for that, but.
Yeah, you have to be completely evil or possessed, or, you know, you went through extreme trauma as a child yourself, and therefore you have developed a spite for the world. I mean, like I try to wrap my mind around what you said earlier for us. Like, how could somebody look at a child as a sexual object, one, and do the things that they do to them, two, and feel nothing, want to continue doing it over and over?
Indeed, it is a horrible thought to end on, but we will be back after this break on defending our children.
Tim James here, founder of ChemicalFreeBody.com, also the health coach for Craig Sawyer and Forrest Seeley. And I want to help working class people get their energy back and quit having all these health issues. Here's the problems. The average person is carrying around 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in your colon. This is not good. Number 2, we have terrible nutrition because the nutrition has been farmed out of our soils and processed out. Plus, processed foods are killing 4,300 people a day. We need good nutrition. Number 3, our gut microbiome's all jacked up from all these toxins and pesticides and stress. We have to balance that. We also have tremendous amounts of inflammation in the body, and we have an overload of toxins from heavy metals, radiation, and pollution. Craig and I and Forrest got together. We created what we call our Defending Our Health bundle. This is a bundle of our products over here at ChemicalFreeBody.com that will revolutionize your health. We've put them together. Green 85 is going to come in and supply you with all the nutrition you need. Our Gut Detox will take care of all that impacted garbage inside of you and keep it out. Toxin Detox will keep the heavy metals, the radiation, and the pollution out. The Nano Silver, the Triple Action, will start balancing the gut microbiome, and the Turmeric 100 will start reducing inflammation in the body. You put it all together, and working class people can now get their energy back and their health back and start to heal themselves. We need you to be healthy so that you can fight for freedom and fight for these kids. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/DOC and check out the Defending Our Health bundle and all of the other wonderful products that we offer, and we look forward to helping you have the best life ever.
Welcome back, everyone, to Defending Our Children. We're on with Blake from Solar Bear. Blake, we were just talking in the break about culture and companies, and I say it's a strong leader who sets a positive and effective culture in any organization. You've got to set the left and right lateral limits on what's accepted. Here is what we're about. Over there, outside of those limits, that's what we're not about. And if you go past that limit, you can't be here.
That's right.
And I celebrate whenever I see that type of leadership. And you obviously have that there at Solar Bear. So I champion that. And I just want to invite you to chat a little bit with our listeners about the process of setting that culture and what that's like. Maybe some of the challenges, the difficulties, the wins, and because I'd like for more people to follow your lead on that is my motive.
Yeah, certainly. And thanks for that, Craig. I appreciate the still of confidence there. What's important to you? What are your values as the leader of your company? What makes you move? What's your why? Right. And for me, it's God first, my family second, and serving third. And so I know that if I serve God, my life is going to work out exactly how he has it planned for me. If I serve my family, then my wife is going to respect and love me, and my children are going to grow up to be contributing members of society. And then if you're out there serving the community through your business or through, philanthropic outreaches, then you're basically enacting the law of reciprocity. It basically states that when we give, the give comes back to us 10x. And that's not my intention behind it, but it sure is fuel for somebody who's saying like, well, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Well, the answer from a humanitarian level is we're supposed to be serving others. And so when you kind of put your post in the ground for your business and you say, this is what we're going to stand for, we're not going to allow this, that, or the other. We're going to have Christian values. We're going to be a faith-based company. What happens is you start to attract other like-minded individuals. One of the prayers I pray every week is that I pray that anybody who is at Solar Bear who is not supposed to be here is removed. And I ask God to please send me people that are aligned with our mission and our values and are on the same walk with us. I also ask him to send somebody that needs correction to get on the same walk with us, because not everybody comes to you all shiny and perfect, right? They come into the door and you'll see possibilities and potentialities in them, but they're not there today. And so through company meetings, weekly prayer calls, one-on-one coaching with people, you start to see your employees progress almost like a child in your home. They start out as a 7-year-old, and a few years later, they're 11, 12, preteen. They're respectful. They're looking you in the eye. They're shaking your hand firmly. And so I believe, setting the culture up for success with a heart of service has a great ripple effect. Not just to your people that work with you and who you're attracting to your business, but also from a customer level. People want to buy from people who are involved in the community, who take some of their profits and give back, who have a mission that they stand behind. And with Operation Underground Railroad, Habitat for Humanity, and now Veterans for Child Rescue, I feel that we're standing on firm ground to really make a huge difference. And with the type of outreach we have in our customer base, like if every customer just gave $1 a month, we would be doing a sting operation every single month. And so my goal is to really blow this up. And, for those of you who are listening, you need to focus on your why for your company, not just profitability, not just your P&L statement, but what are you actually doing out in the community? How are you truly making a difference, not just to your customers, but to those who give up, 33% of their life to come work for you?
Well said. I had a client of mine many years ago, and one of the things he asked me was how to be successful. And the advice I gave him was, if you can help your employees be successful, you will be successful. And I'll never forget, I went to his first Christmas party and he introduced me to this young man. And he was telling me that this guy was working at a fast food restaurant a year ago from that time, and that he and his wife just bought their first house, that they never, ever thought they could afford their first house. And I was really taken aback at that moment, because I looked at this guy was a young guy. He was a lot younger than me. He was smart. And, but I really appreciated, I had given him words of wisdom that had been passed down to me, but I never really thought of, how that would translate to this person. And he took that and ran with it. And so now I tell people that they ask me about business, and I tell them, hey, if you can help your employees be successful, you will be successful. Some people think that if they're successful, their employees will be successful. And you sound to me, after getting to know you, that you have the same philosophy, that you're looking to help your employee, because if they're successful, the business is going to thrive. You're going to be successful as well.
Yeah, there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And everything that we have done at Solar Bear that would be considered good or great was always done in team. It was never done by an individual in an individual effort. It was really done by a team of people. And, it trickles down from the top. And so leadership, me as the CEO, I've got my VP, my president of sales, I've got the general manager, the office manager, the install manager. And so your systems and your processes kind of bleed down to those people, and then they are, over their departments. And so we try to keep everybody connected. We have monthly meetings where everybody from all sides of the business are coming together so that they can communicate at a high level, so they can be on the ends of all of the good things that we're doing, like with Veterans for Child Rescue. And so, there's a massive ripple effect when leadership is doing what they're supposed to be doing by leading from the front.
Greg, you come from a team environment. Do you have anything to weigh in on this?
Yeah, look, the military leader makes sure that all of his people have what they need. So he'll eat last. He'll do everything. He'll be up first, and he'll get his last. And that's just a sound principle, to make sure all your troops are ready and prepared. And you already understand that there. And I just wanted to back you up on that, really, because that's a sound principle that has been well proven. And I did not see that in law enforcement, man. I saw managers. I did not see leaders. And I'm not going to say all, but in Las Vegas, I saw a lot of guys that wanted to manage and tell their troops, their agents, what to do from the office, but not go and lead by example and show them what to do. And there was one guy there. He was an SES level executive from the top of the FBI, and he got himself fired for gross mismanagement. And he was one of those kinds. He was not a leader, But boy, he sure would hunt his agents and stab them in the back when they were out trying to stop terrorists from flying planes into buildings.
Right.
He was hunting his own guys, and I thought, wow, man, what set that culture in motion where this guy's one of the highest ranking law enforcement agents anywhere, and all he's interested in doing is undermining his own best guys, not the problem employees, but the best, the shining stars. He was after them, and I was so disappointed in that. So I only brought that up to bring a contrast between leadership from the front. Here is how you do it. What do you need from me? Uh, Go ahead and have a try. I'll teach you, I'll coach you, I'll help you, I'll support you. Uh, as opposed to I'm sitting here, I've got mine. You go out there and make everything happen. I'll just whip you from my comfy air conditioned office, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I champion
Yep.
your lead on that and encourage other people to follow. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back with more from Blake at Solar Bear right after this break.
To the untrained eye, it's almost never obvious. But trafficking is happening around you, and every child is vulnerable. Even yours. Even me. If I don't know you care, if you don't show you're interested, someone else might.
Welcome back, everyone, to Defending Our Children. We're on with Blake from Solar Bear, and we're just talking about leadership and talking about the difference between leading and managing. But first, because he is a leader, I want to allow Blake a chance to drive you to his website to promote his business. I think it's the right thing to do. So, Blake, if you would take about a minute and let people know all about Solar Bear and how to find you.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, we are Solar Bear. We've been in business for about 10 years. We specialize in helping homeowners eliminate their power bills through solar energy. We also are a roofing contractor and a spray foam insulation contractor. So whether you need a new roof, you need new insulation, or you're ready to get rid of the never-ending rising cost of electricity, you can visit solarbear.com. That's solarbear.com. Right now, we're offering 12 months of no payments if you sign up. That's right. The first year completely free. Visit solarbear.com.
There you go, man.
Right on.
So, following on with the leadership in the military, there are basic principles that they're universal in the military and in business or in any other sort of organization where you've got humans, and it's a leader needs to motivate his people, his humans, to do the task, whether it's to fight on the battlefield or install, heating or cooling. It's really the same, and it's finding that way to motivate and inspire them, and that's where that 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 ethical standard of leading from the front really comes in. And if you don't care about your people, they're going to know it, and they're not going to really care so much about the job. For them, it's just a paycheck. But if you care about them and you have personal relationships with them, and that you conduct yourself in a way that's respectable, then they're going to be inspired to, like, man, I want to be more like him or her. I want to achieve what they've done. I want to build my own Solar Bear one day. I want to learn as much as I can while I'm here. Or I'm so happy with the way that this is run. I'm just going to put out, and because it feels good to make clients happy and have everything done right and and here's another thing I tell people: you have the team that you really want. Your culture is what you make it. If you want a strong team environment, it's on everybody within that team to build that. It's what you put into it. If you don't value it and you want to do the bare minimum, then it'll just kind of lumber along and maybe fail. But if you really decide that it's valuable to you and you invest in it and you want it to be the team that you're proud to be a part of, you'll put that effort in it and you'll build that team. Then everybody wants to be on your team. Like, man, those guys are smoking everything. They're tight. They've got it together. They've got each other's backs. I like that environment. I want to go there. So people find kind of the team that they want to be on. But I would say wherever you are and whoever you are, if you value a certain culture, build that. Build that in your family. Build that in your military unit. Build that in your company. You have the ability, especially if you're in a position of leadership, it's really on you to set the culture. A strong leader, again, sets the culture by saying, here is what we're about, and then demonstrating that, showing them that that's what you're genuinely about. And then conversely saying, hey, over there, that's what we're not about. And that's not going to be tolerated. If you betray what we're about here too far, well, you can't be here. So
Yeah.
I think that's just good. Making sure your people have everything you need, man. Get those sled dogs well rested, well fed, so they can pull that sled as hard and fast as they would love to, you know?
100%. I said it before, speed of the captain, speed of the crew. It's your job to lead by example. And so if you are promoting a faith-based company, but then outside of work, you're out getting trashed, you're cheating on your wife, you're not taking care of your people, you're not paying your debts, people are going to look at you as a hypocrite. And so I try to walk and live my life the way Jesus would want me to. And, we've had employees that I felt were going to be lifers, people that would never leave, who left to go make more money at another company. And, they were headhunted by somebody in that organization, offering them the world. And, I always bless them and say, hey, listen, go see what the green grass is like over there. See if it's greener. And, 99% of the time they end up coming back because they realize how good they have it here, because they have a leadership team that cares about them, that cares about their personal development. We have a culture of personal development because, like I said earlier, you sometimes get people that come here who aren't where they want to be. And so they've got these limited belief systems about themselves and about finances and about the world. And you've got to start peeling back the onion. And, I'm no therapist or a doctor, but I can relate to people. I can sit and have a real conversation and get to the nitty gritty about, why their life is currently the way that it is. And a lot of it has to do with the way that they believe things, the way that they talk to themselves in their head and when nobody's around. And, we call them limited beliefs, or mindset, change the mindset. And so, speed of the captain, speed of the crew. You got to set the example for your people. If you're not setting the example for your people, they're not going to respect you. And if they're not going to respect you, then they're not going to be here for a very long time. And they're probably not going to give you 110%. And if you're an entrepreneur, as well as I do, you need 110% from all of your people. And you have to give 220%. That's just the way that it is owning a business. People think it's all rainbow and butterflies to say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. No, 80% of the time, somebody is standing on your neck.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to show your people that you have grit, that you don't become like a flag in the wind anytime a problem comes up, changing which direction you're going. And so I'm very grateful for the team that we have here, for the leadership that we have here. I'm grateful for our customer base who has trusted us and allowed us to grow to the level that we have. And so I'm also grateful to you guys having me on this call today. So thank you.
Well, Blake, answer me this, if you would. What do you credit? Where did you get that culture? Where did you develop the idea of how you wanted to run your company, Solar Bear? You at some point you developed that value and decided, man, I'm gonna run my company this way. Or it developed as you ran it. I don't know, but maybe speak to that a little bit for people.
I'm lucky enough to say that I have two very great parents. My parents got divorced when I was about 7 years old, so I would split time between my mom and my dad's house. But both of my parents were loving, but strict. And my dad was the tough guy. You know, I got my butt kicked when I deserved it. And but they gave me just such a strong work ethic. They taught me how to have you know, human decency, how to have mutual respect for people, and how to never put myself above somebody. You know, my mom was instrumental in developing me to the man that I am today, just the way that I look at the world. And, you know, she owned a hair salon and my dad was an HVAC tech. Today he's an HVAC contractor, but when I was younger, he was just a service tech. And so, um, you know, I really got the want and the desire to create a good culture from them. I really never got to experiencing it from as an employee myself. I always worked for larger corporations, you know, huge sales companies, and they didn't have the greatest of culture. And so I knew that I wanted to create that an environment where people could really feel good about coming to work every day.
Right on. Well, you've heard it out there, folks. You can do the same exact thing. Set the figure out your values and what it is that you want to go after, and set about creating that culture for you and your team, wherever you are. And so we celebrate that Blake's done it, and encourage you to do the same. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back with a lot more from Blake with Solar Bear.
Here to review this V4CR coffee from Veterans for Child Rescue. Getting rid of child trafficking all around the world.
Rescue Roast. This is being offered strictly to fund our operations. We found a great roaster, chosen our 3 favorite flavors. And our light, medium, and dark roast, we're offering it right now in pre-ground form. If you want to enjoy it in K-Cups, we have stainless steel cups on our website, and they are reusable. Just take the coffee and pour it into the cup. Close it up, put it in the machine. Oh yeah. So go to our website right now, v4cr.org. Order as much as you want on our shop page. We're grateful for your continued support. We're excited about what this means as far as boosting the funding for our operations. Thank you so much for your continued support. God bless.
Welcome back to Defending Our Children. And I want to talk about Green 85 and chemicalfreebody.com. This is a product that both Craig and I use to help us get our vitamins and minerals that we need on a daily basis. I'm very grateful for this as a sponsor. They can raise money for us to run operations. If you go to chemicalfreebody.com/DOC, you can learn about all their products. They're all natural, non-GMO, all that good stuff. I think it's the best product on the market. So go check it out. Anyhow, we were just discussing on the break about Blake had shared with us a detour in life that he took. And it's an interesting detour. You know, sometimes I think God wants your undivided attention. Maybe this was the case for Blake. But Blake, why don't you share with us what the trials and tribulations you went through as a younger man?
Yeah, thank you, Forrest. You know, when I was younger, I was a scrappy kid. I always played football, and you know, we'd get in neighborhood fights, and it was always hugs and high fives after the fight. And you know, as I got older and got bigger and got stronger, you know, the fighting continued just because, you know, you live in a very densely populated area with, you know, 7 or 8, you know, 2,000 kids in a graduating class high schools. It's bound to happen. And so my dad said, son, if you don't stop fighting, you're going to get shot, stabbed, or you're going to go to prison. And while I was going to college in Tallahassee, I was working as a bouncer at a nightclub, and a big fight broke out in the nightclub, and we were kicking some guys out. And one of the instigators took a swing at me, and you know, I reacted. I ducked and I swung back, and he fell and hit his head on the ground, and you know, was placed into a medically induced coma. And I ended up going to Florida State Prison for almost 2 years. And you know, I had great parents growing up. I never stole anything from anybody. I never hurt anybody on purpose. And, you know, God wanted me to slow down, and he wanted my undivided attention. And so during my time there, I obviously started a relationship with Jesus. I started reading the Bible. I had to grow up really fast. In there, you know, you can't show a lot of emotion when you're in prison. And I would imagine it's the same as, you know, being at war. You know, you have to keep your emotions under control. And it really forced me to grow up quickly. And, I think the greatest thing outside of God that came from it was it really gave me a perspective about life and how grateful we should all be for the freedoms that we have here in the United States of America. Sure, we have our problems. Sure, there's, always topics to be discussed. But when you compare the freedom that we have here to a very large portion of the world, it's undeniable. We were literally blessed to be born into this country. And it gave me a great perspective on freedom and what that really meant, having mine taken away from me. And so, when I got out, I knew that I wanted to make my parents proud. I knew that I wanted to make something of myself. And little by little, I've turned into the man that I am today. And I'm proud to say I'm a God-fearing, family-loving entrepreneur that takes care of his people and takes care of his family. And I have a whole lot left to give. So yeah, thank you for letting me share that today.
Yeah, it's an important story to share. I think we all have challenges and obstacles that fall into our path, and not everything works out the way that we intend it to. And things happen. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the obstacle that's in front of you? And what I've found is that when I navigate whatever the obstacle is in front of me, whatever the challenge, health challenge, relationship challenge, financial challenge, when I navigate it in gratitude, I do better. Like if you, I'm trying to tell as many people as I can, like, hey, no matter what happens, navigate that thing in gratitude. You will be better. You'll do a better job. It's just a better state of being. And no wonder the words in everything give thanks, in all things give thanks, is something that comes out of the Bible so often, because people repeat that because it works. It's true. It's like how to be on the inside. If you're genuinely grateful, you're looking at things. Your perception is a totally different. You're in a different space, and it's a healthy space, and it's a beneficial space. Even with motocrossers, these big supercross champions, sometimes there's a lot of stress and the physical stress, and they'll ask these guys, champions, world champions, like, hey, you're crushing it tonight. What happened? And the guy will say, well, yeah, I just had fun riding my dirt bike. My coach told me just go have fun. And and it's like you can't be in a bad mood if you're grateful for every breath that you have. Grateful for every lesson learned, every sunrise. We are tremendously blessed. And I think, I used to think if ever I ended up in jail or prison, it'd be the end of the world for me. It'd be horrible. And I'm like, I would be grateful no matter, you could put me in a closet. I would just find a way to be grateful no matter what, because I've kind of finally broken that code in my life and in my spirit, and it's been such a huge boost, man. I'm kind of yelling it from the rooftops. Be grateful through all things, because it gets better. I mean, you do better in that. So
Yeah.
anyway.
And when I went through it, the feelings while you're in the middle of it weren't great. But, when you're able to look back, hindsight, and see how much God used that to shape my life and to put me
Yeah.
on the path that I'm on, all things, good and bad, are working towards our advancement. And the only way to see that is with a spirit of gratitude, is to find the silver lining in every aspect of your daily walk. And so,
Yeah. Thank you
always
for the
tell
lesson.
yeah, it's the lesson. There's a lesson in everything. Sometimes you get paid with green dollars. Sometimes the currency is real money, but sometimes the currency is knowledge, is wisdom, and you only get those through experiences, right? I always tell people it's one of the best things that God ever allowed to happen to me, um, because I'll never be the same, and it's such a good thing to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it comes with hindsight. I can give thanks now for the things that I used to yell at the sky, why me? And now I can look back and say, you know what? Genuinely from the heart, thank you for that lesson. Thank you for that knowledge that I gained through that challenge. No wonder SEAL team training is tough. and there's adverse conditions dialed into it because you're meant to have to work together as a team and figure it out and in those environments and become better at it. And afterward, you're so strong, you wouldn't trade that training for anything because that's what made you, shaped you. And our life's challenges are that way, man. And a lot of things that we may not understand in the moment will end up being to your benefit, to your knowledge, to your long-term growth. And if you're grateful for it and you're looking for the lesson in it, you're going to learn that lesson sooner and grow stronger and better from it sooner. So I think I
Absolutely.
appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to have gone through the experience. And, just to anybody that's listening out there, if you're going through something challenging right now, or maybe you have something right around the corner that you're fearful to face or you're dreading facing, just know that it's temporary. Looking forward for me at that time as a 20-year-old man, 2 years seemed like a lifetime. But looking back, 2 years is a flash of time. And so get the lesson out of what you're going through. Whatever currency you can get paid with, make sure you get your payment. And sometimes it's knowledge, wisdom, and a great lesson for future life.
Yeah, those are true words of wisdom there. That is how it works. And we all, that's something that I'm learning in my own life too, is really comprehending the fact that our free will is a superpower. We choose who we are and how we are on the inside. We choose how we think, how we vibe, if you will. How are you going to deal with it? If someone comes up and insults you, you can get bent around the axle about it, or you can just let it go and wish them well. So, folks, stay tuned. We'll be back with a little bit more from Blake at Solar Bear.
Hey, Tim James here. When I was 37 years old, I had some severe gastrointestinal issues. I was tired, fatigued, wasn't feeling good, skin issues. My health was a mess. Let's just put it that way. Now I'm turning 52 this year, and I have abundant energy. I'm able to trail run and kick the butts of my 22 and 24-year-old sons. Yep, that's right. And do push-ups and all this other fun stuff. How did I do it? Well, one key ingredient, if you want to get healthy, if you want to get your energy back, you want to get your vitality back, is real nutrition. Our soils have been so over-farmed, 85% of the nutrition is gone today, and then the rest is processed out through these processing plants. So what we have created is a formula called Green 85 juice formula. You can take 1 scoop in the morning, and we suggest you do another one in the afternoon about a half an hour before dinner, and you will revitalize your health. You will get your health back. You will cut your hunger cravings, and you're going to actually cut your grocery bill in half. This product will literally pay for itself because you cannot eat as much food because your cells are now getting the nutrition they need. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/DOC. That's chemicalfreebody.com/DOC. Get Green 85 today and energize your life and your health so that you can feel as good as I do and Craig does and Forrest. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Welcome, everyone, to Defending Our Children. This is our final segment today with Blake at Solar Bear. And we're just talking in the break about solutions and being effective at what we do. And he mentioned that I should talk a little bit more about Veterans for Child Rescue and what it is that really our supporters are supporting. And in our case, our mission is to expose child trafficking, to ruin it by wrecking the top cover of secrecy that makes it so effective. Look, child trafficking is a covert operation run domestically here in the U.S. at industrial scale. Most organizations won't run against child traffickers here in the U.S. because the system is rigged against that. So they go to other countries and third world countries and they do things wherever they can. I decided to go here because this is our homeland, our children. And I'm tired of deploying to 60 countries around the world where I've been and knowing that child trafficking is at industrial scale right here behind my back, under our noses. So we filmed Contraland to expose it, and we run joint sting operations to counter it directly, to take their predators and their traffickers off the game board, take them off the streets and put them in prison where they can harm no more. So we've arrested all kinds of traffickers and predators, elite pedophiles who are highly connected and enjoy a lot of rank and status. We don't care. Federal agent, a high-level LDS church elder, an illegal alien, a sheriff's brother. I mean, it just doesn't matter. A Mexican drug cartel trafficker. I mean, we don't care. My whole thing is stop people from harming children. And so that's what you're supporting, folks. This radio show is part of that mission. Expose it, inform the American people on what's going on so that we, the citizens, can stand up and make a safer U.S. for our children. And so that's why we did the TV show and the NASCAR placement and the billboards. And I go all over the country meeting with law enforcement and doing public speaking and banging the drum, and do a lot of media, podcasts, and news interviews throughout the week, every week, and meetings constantly. What are we doing? We're building a safer, more aware populace inside the United States for our children, because the wicked want wealth and power, and it turns out that they're getting it through what they're willing to do to the children. And so for me, as a busted up veteran and dad, it's so simple. I just want people to stop raping children. Can we, for the love of God, can we just stop that? And for crying out loud, I'm not okay with it, and I have to fight it. I can't look away. It's just so vile. It should not be a thing, but this earth is in a fallen state, and the fallen are making war on God's creation and his children. We are his children, and the precious little ones are the most pure, the most spiritually pure. And that's why you see scumbags, evil and wicked men and women making war on children in all the different ways. And we're here to kick them in the teeth and rip that away from them and make them stop, just so that the children can be okay. And that's it. So there you go, Blake. There's my rundown, my blurb on what you're supporting if you support Veterans for Child Rescue, because we are not afraid. We cannot be intimidated. We've been sued, we countersue, and we win every time. And so that's it, man. We're growing more and more powerful because we serve our Lord and Savior, King Jesus Christ.
That's
And
right.
it's all about sparing the little ones.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to read the Bible to know that children are the light of the world. And if you're like me, when you started hearing that this was a really prevalent thing here in America, where almost 1 million children go missing every single year. I think the statistic was something around, 875,000 went missing last year. And, for me, I think about it, and I see a news article or I read a news article, the first thing I do is I drop into my lower self, and I'm like thinking like I would rip that guy's head off. I would take him out in a heartbeat. I would do anything to protect those kids that aren't mine and my own children. And so when I learned that I could partner with Veterans for Child Rescue and contribute to these sting operations right here in my own backyard, where I grew up, where I'm raising my children, where my friends and family and acquaintances are also raising their children. When we could do the work right here, I knew immediately that we needed you guys and contributing as much as we can, as often as we can. And not only that, spreading the word those around us that are like myself. I've got other friends in other contracting industries, in real estate, in NFL coaching, MLB coaching, and I know they'll all want to be involved. I know when they really hear the nitty-gritty of this, they're going to want to contribute. And so when you do your research on child trafficking and you realize that there might even be somebody in your neighborhood who's an ex-predator who's on the list, and it makes your skin crawl. We should be protecting our children, protecting their innocence, protecting their livelihoods, and protecting their future. Because when this happens to a young kid, and you guys can tell them better than anybody, it has a very high chance of ruining their future or severely damaging it for the rest of their life. And I just can't sit on the sideline knowing that this is happening in my own backyard and do absolutely nothing about it. It's the exact opposite. I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now, just knowing what's going on as we speak. It's happening to somebody. And this effort that you guys have put forward, it's incredible. I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm so happy to be involved.
Thank you, Blake.
Let's take as many of them down as we possibly can.
Yeah, brother. Well, we appreciate that, and we are growing stronger and faster. So we're grateful for that, and your kind words. And we do encourage everybody to help in any way that they can, and don't forget prayer, man. I think along with so much other deceit, the power of prayer is something that's been kind of programmed out of our culture here in the U.S. to comprehend how that really works, because we are spirit beings in temporary physical bodies, as a learning ground, as a testing and development ground, a character assessment course, if you will. And man, I know I'm growing and I'm learning. I'm grateful for it. I really, really am. And every lesson learned, like I said, I used to yell at the sky, why me? And now I can be grateful because I realize it's for me. Not all the challenges are against us. They're for our development. And once you learn that, you can be grateful through it. Like I will praise you in the storm. Now, Father, I will be grateful in all things because I'm starting to understand and comprehend this world. Yeah, the fallen may be against me, but the lessons are for me, for my development, my growth, and I'm growing stronger and better and higher version of myself. I'm a more pure version of myself for having navigated these obstacles. So, Blake, look, I appreciate your time here on the show, and I want to give you the last minute to go ahead and allow people to hear a little bit more about Solar Bear and how to find you and gain your services.
Awesome. Forrest, Craig, thanks so much for having me on the show. We are Solar Bear. You can visit solarbear.com. We will help you eliminate your power bill. The cost of electricity in Florida is rising every single year. It's gone up over 30% in the last 3 years. And so we're trying to put more dollars back in our consumers' pockets and out of the monopoly power companies here in Florida. Visit solarbear.com, and we're offering 12 months of no payments all the way through June of this year. So again, thank you guys. I'm super pumped to be involved in your mission, and so is the rest of the Solar Bear team.
Right on. Well, please pass our best to everybody back there at Solar Bear. Blake, on your team, we appreciate your time and what you've chosen to do with your company. We commend that. And for everybody else, we invite you to join us again next time on Defending Our Children.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to Defending Our Children, the show that empowers the people with the information you need to know. Learn more on how to get involved and make a difference at vetsforchildrescue.org, because the children are worthy.